Linux is the leading operating system on servers. Over 96.4% of the top 1 million web servers operating systems are Linux. It leads other big iron systems such as mainframe computers, and is used on all of the world's 500 fastest supercomputers since November 2017, having gradually displaced all competitors. Linus Torvalds created Linux, which now runs vast swaths of the internet, including Google and Facebook. And he invented Git, the software that's now used by developers across the net to build new applications of all kinds. But that's not all Torvalds has given the internet. However, we shall get to that shortly. Welcome to today's story of how Linus Torvalds built Linux. Torvalds was born in Helsinki, Finland, the son of journalists Anna and Nils Torvalds, the grandson of statistician Leo Törnqvist and of poet Ole Torvalds, and the great-grandson of journalist and soldier Toivo Karanko. His parents were campus radicals at the University of Helsinki in the 1960s. He was named after Linus Pauling, the Nobel Prize-winning American chemist. He started coding at his tender ages, with the first computer Tolvards used was his grandfather's Commodore VIC-20, when he was just about 11 or 12 years old. The computer used a very traditional language called BASIC. Coding at a young age played a vital role because much like learning a foreign language, a child's brain more plastically picks up and integrates the skill. It's never too late to benefit from learning to code or learning another language. But those who start as young children have a massive advantage, like how it turned out for Linus Torvalds. By the time he was 15 years old, he was a programmer. He enrolled at the University of Helsinki in 1989, and in 1990 he took his first C programming class. In 1991, Torvalds decided that his new MS-DOS-driven PC needed an alternative operating system. He had enough programming know-how under his belt to assume that he could achieve this himself. His goal was to create a computer operating system which allows multiple users to access the single system with one operating system that he could use at home, just like Unix. Using the Maris J. Bach book, Design of the Unix Operating System, as a guide, he set out to create the system. Working long, hard hours until at age 22, he completed a rough version. He called his system Linux, a combination of Unix in his name, and posted the source code free on the internet. Torvalds' philosophy was that if he made the software available for free downloading, anyone with knowledge of and interest in computer programming could modify the system and ultimately make it better, or modify it for their own specific purposes. Linux quickly gained popularity among hardcore computer users. Licensed under a GNU General Public License, the system is available free to anyone who can get, use, modify, distribute, and copy it. By 1999, an estimated 7 million computers were running on Linux. Linux gained acceptance in business circles as a stable operating system that rarely crashes, and large computer corporations such as IBM, Compaq, Intel, and Dell also begun to develop machines that support it. Linux gained popularity in the consumer PC market as well. Torvalds made his personal mascot a penguin named Tux, which became a recognizable symbol for Linux around the world. Torvalds spent 1988 to 1997 at the University of Helsinki, coordinating development of the Linux kernel and furthering his study. He moved to the United States in 1997 to begin working for Transmeta, where he helped to design the Transmeta Crusoe processor, a power-saving CPU. In 2003, Torvalds left Transmeta to focus on the Linux kernel through the Open Source Development Lab. OSDL merged with the Free Standards Group in January 2007 to become the Linux Foundation. Torvalds remains the authority on what new code is incorporated into the standard Linux kernel. Linux was originally developed for personal computers based on the Intel x86 architecture, but has since been ported to more platforms than any other operating system. Because of the dominance of the Linux-based Android on smartphones, Linux, including Android, has the largest installed base of all general-purpose operating systems as of May 2022. Enemies no more, as Microsoft brings the Linux kernel to Windows. For decades, Microsoft Windows and the open-source Linux operating system were polar opposites. Windows was developed by the biggest software company in the world, one that was no friend to open source. Linux was developed by a ragtag team of programmers scattered around the world, often working in their spare time. But over the years, open source, and Linux in particular, went mainstream. Linux now powers the majority of the world's web servers and underpins Android, the world's most popular mobile operating system. That forced a change in how Microsoft treated the rival operating system. Windows introduced a feature called Windows Subsystem for Linux, quickening the ease running of Linux applications in Windows. Linux remains one of the most prominent examples of free and open source software collaboration. The source code may be used, modified, and distributed commercially or non-commercially by anyone under the terms of its respective licenses, such as the GNU General Public License. Be sure to watch our next video, subscribe, and leave comments on your Linux experience. See you on our next video.